glad that everyone's joining us for the Umass Amherst session today. So what we'll kind of be doing is we're focusing on creative types of programs at Umass Amherst. And essentially what I've done today is I went through and highlighted some creative-based majors that we have at Umass Amherst, college by college. So we'll highlight a few of them, and then we can go over any other information at the end if anybody has questions about it. And then the second half of the presentation, I'll go through 10 things that are really helpful to know about transferring to Umass Amherst. And then we can just have a conversation after that. But we'll start with the majors first. So the first one that I want to highlight in terms of a creative field is in our College of Engineering, really all of our engineering programs. So what I did here was I did kind of a breakdown of each one of the programs so that you can kind of get a sense of what the differences are between all of them, but also hopefully sort of see a common thread between them, that they're all very much about being creative, being innovative, thinking outside the box, identifying problems, in systems or in society, and then working to create solutions to it. That second half is really the most important part about the engineering field. It's actually not only identifying the problem, but then being willing to think and kind of innovate and create different ways to solve the problem that will help people in the long run. So tons of different options here. We are able to admit transfer students into all of these programs. They're great programs. We are a research-based institution. So when you go into a program like this, you know that there's going to be a lot of hands-on work. Many of our professors are actively doing all kinds of research and different projects that students many times get involved in as well. So there's a lot of really cool opportunities to get involved in those types of things at UMass. It's also helpful to note that the engineering programs at Umass Amherst are part of our selective majors, which means that there are some slightly higher admissions requirements for these programs, which again, we can talk about a little bit more in detail towards the end of the presentation. All right, so the next one that we'll touch on quickly is our College of Humanities and Fine Arts. So the whole college in itself kind of already gives the air of having that creative feeling. And some of the ones that I really like to highlight are the majors that you see on the screen now. So architecture, art, dance, music, and theater are some of the ones that really kind of captivate the creative spirit, and they're ways that you can really involve creativity into every single day of your work life and personal life when you pursue these types of programs. The nice thing about these is that so even if you aren't looking to necessarily do a full major in one of these, but you still have an interest in the areas, being a student at UMass Amherst, you can still attend theater productions, go to all kinds of music performances or dance performances, go to art displays. So there's so many ways that you can still kind of express your creative side, even if you're not fully majoring in something like this. So lots of cool ways to get involved. It's also helpful to note that most of these programs, with the exception of theater, do require a portfolio or an audition process. Although if you're in an art program or if you're taking certain art courses, you may be eligible for a waiver from the portfolio. So the next one I wanted to touch on is our College of Information and Computer Sciences. And I feel like this is one of those areas where a lot of times people see the name of it and automatically think that it's just kind of like, XYZ information, like fact is fact and that's all there is. But really, the computer science world is very similar to the engineering world in the sense that you're looking for ways to make processes easier, solve problems that are maybe having people have a harder time at doing their jobs. And you're thinking of creative ways to solve those problems based on the knowledge that you have of computers and the computer science area. So there actually is quite a bit of room for creativity in this, which is kind of cool. So as you'll see on here, there's two different programs that we have. There's a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Arts program. You don't have to decide which one you want to do at the point of admission. You would just apply to our general computer science program. But you'll see kind of the difference of these. So the Bachelor of Science is going to primarily be focused on computer science at large, and really kind of turn you into an expert in the field. The Bachelor of Arts is really ideal for anybody looking to do a double major. So you're going to be developing a depth of knowledge of the computer science field, but you'll also have a second discipline that you're focusing on. So many times students will combine it with something like business, or potentially something like psychology, because a lot of times if you end up getting a job for a large company, you're going to know the computer side of things, so you'll be able to fix things and increase productivity and things like that for the systems. But you'll also understand how the human mind works too. So the work that you do with the computers and what you know about how humans operate will hopefully help you to kind of fuse the two together to create creative solutions to things. So lots of cool opportunities there. This is also a selective major at Umass Amherst. So again, the best way to kind of guarantee admissibility is to be in a computer science program, but you can certainly look into even doing something like a minor in this if you have an interest in it once you're at Umass Amherst. And so the next one is the College of Social and Behavioral Sciences. Again, there's a lot of different ways to kind of find creativity in these types of fields. But the few that I wanted to highlight specifically are communication, landscape architecture, social thought and political economy, and sustainable community development. What you'll see, again, I did kind of just like short snippets of each of these programs, is that there are ways to know your field and be an expert in your field, but also, again, it goes back to that whole finding ways to make things work better, or with landscape architecture, you know, literally creating things that people enjoy looking at, but also can be functional for society. There's really cool fusions between these types of things. With social thought and political economy, this is one of our programs that's very much focused on social justice, working to create a better world. And these are huge, huge issues in society right now. And I think the more creative brains we have to kind of help aid in this, you know, in these different issues that we have, the better. And so these are really great ways to find ways to use your creativity regularly. Okay, so to kind of switch gears now that you have kind of an understanding of the different types of programs that we have at Umass Amherst, what we'll be doing is going through 10 things that will be helpful for you to know about the transfer process at Umass Amherst. We totally understand that transferring can feel like a really overwhelming process sometimes, but you know, we're here in the admissions office to help make that process as easy as possible for you. So we'll go through these 10 things and hopefully it'll make you feel a little more confident about the whole process. So the first one to know is that transferring can be easy. So to kind of break down, I'm assuming most people are going to be looking at the mass transfer program. And so you do have to be in an approved program, which you can work with your transfer counselor at GCC to find out if you are in an approved program, or you can contact us at Umass Amherst and we're happy to help with that too. But there's a ton of great benefits that come along with it that I listed on the screen. So there's guaranteed admission to certain majors. You're guaranteed to have at least 60 credits transfer. The General Education Foundation comes over. So you'll only have to do a couple more general education courses once you transfer, and then that'll be done for you. The opportunity for a tuition credit. There's scholarship opportunities. There's so many great things that come along with this process. And again, we're here to make sure that you understand what all the benefits are and that you are doing what you can to make sure that you're going to get as many of them as possible. To give you a sense of what transferring to Umass Amherst looks like in terms of numbers, we usually have about 400 transfer students that we bring in each spring semester and about 1,200 or so each fall semester. When you break down the numbers like that, it basically works out that at Umass Amherst, almost 1 in 5 students were a transfer student. So it's a pretty large population. You're certainly not going to feel alone in your transfer process. There's a lot of other students who have gone through the same experience. So the second thing that we want you to know is our concept of being revolutionary, right? And what Umass Amherst can offer you. And so what you want to kind of work on is deciding if Umass Amherst is going to be a good fit for you. So these are a few things that are helpful to know about our school. One is that we are a public research university, currently ranked number 26 in the nation among public institutions. So that's a pretty good number there. We have a really diverse community. And like I had said before, with almost 20% of our students being transfer students, people are coming from all different experiences and all different backgrounds, which really kind of aids to a rich, diverse community of students. We have over 10 schools and colleges with over 100 majors and tons of minor opportunities as well. So there's lots of ways to get involved in your academic process. I wouldn't say most importantly, but very importantly, we have been ranked #1 for campus dining 5 years in a row. It's no joke. Our food is delicious at UMass Amherst. If you haven't eaten there before, it's worth the trip, trust me. And a few other things we like to mention is that we have 21 NCAA Division I sports teams, which are fun to either be a part of or just attend the events for. Campus Pride has listed us among the top 30 campuses in the US for LGBTQ students, which is a really great thing that we're proud of. And finally, we just have a large array of student services that are specifically for transfer students as well. Some of these include disability services, the Center for Counseling and Psychological Health, Veteran Services, the Center for Multicultural Advancement and Student Success. We have student parent programs. So there's lots of ways to help you be successful while you're at UMass Amherst. The third thing we like to highlight are the deadlines, because obviously that's a very important part in the application process. So if you are thinking about applying for the spring semester, our deadline is November 5th to apply. If you're looking for fall, we have 2 different deadlines. The first one is March 1st, and that's our priority deadline, which we specifically encourage students who are applying to selective majors to try to use that deadline. If you apply before March 1st or by March 1st, you're guaranteed to receive maximum consideration for your first choice major. Any applications we receive after that for selective majors is basically reviewed on a space available basis. And our final deadline is April 15th. So like I mentioned, same kind of thing. We do keep reviewing applications until all the spaces fill up. So the earlier you can get things in, the better, and you'll hear back a little bit faster about your admissions decision as well. So the fourth thing that we want to highlight is the application process. So in order to apply as a mass transfer student, you'll need to submit a few things. One is the mass transfer application, which is a free application on the UMass Amherst website. It's a super fast application to fill out. And it's helpful to know also that you do have to complete it in one sitting because there's no way to save it once you start it. But it usually takes about 5 or 10 minutes to complete the whole thing. The other things that we'll ask you to submit are your official transcripts from any colleges or universities that you've attended since finishing high school. And then we do have opportunities for students to apply for mass transfer scholarships. If you are going to apply for one, we will send you a link after you submit the application that will lead you to the application for the scholarship process. There are a few other things once we start reviewing your application that we might request from you. A few of them are listed on the screen here. And so that can include something like a gap explanation statement, which is if you've taken any time off between semesters since completing high school, we just ask you to submit a brief statement, just kind of addressing what your activities were and what you were up to. If you've attended other 4-year schools before going to your 2-year school, we may ask you for a transfer disciplinary report. Occasionally, depending on the courses that you have in progress or maybe where your GPA is at the time that you're applying, we do sometimes ask for midterm grades or final grades. And then sometimes if you're not admissible to your first or second choice major, we may request an alternate major for you to select if you're still admissible to the university. So once we review your application, we're going to send you a confirmation email that says that we got the application, and it's also going to have a login for your student status page that's going to be unique to you. And so there's going to be an application checklist on that page that's going to show you everything that we've received so far and anything that we still need to receive. And that's also where we'll request any additional documents if we need them. And that's also where your admissions decision is posted. That's helpful to know because we don't mail them out or email them. They're all posted on your student status page. So once we review everything, we will basically get that decision to you as fast as possible. We usually try to do it within a couple of weeks after your application is complete. So the fifth thing that we like to mention is information about your major. So we do recommend choosing a second choice major that's different from your first choice major, especially if you're applying to a selective major. So you can tell us, basically indicate if you want to be considered for your second choice major or if you only want your first choice major and that's it. But basically what we kind of do is we'll automatically review you for the first one. If you're admissible, great, you'll be admitted to that one. If you're not admissible for some reason, but you indicated that you want to be reviewed for your second choice, we will review you for that one and go from there. And so we do encourage you to check the UMass Amherst Mass Transfer website for approved programs to see which major options are best suited for the program that you're currently completing at your community college. So as far as the admissions decision goes, we do use a holistic review process, which basically means we take into consideration a lot of factors when we're looking at your application. This can include things like your most recently completed semester grades, the rigor of the classes that you've taken previously, grades in courses that are related to your major, and any other information that you provide us as part of the application. So we really try to take all those things into consideration. And then again, just to emphasize that the admissions decision is located on your student status page as opposed to being mailed out. So just make sure that you check that regularly. All right, so number 7 are basically what happens next. What are the next steps after you apply and are admitted? So once you decide that you want to enroll at UMass Amherst, you will complete the Your Decision form that's on your student status page, and we'll ask you to pay a $500 non-refundable enrollment fee to secure your spot. If you're receiving a Pell Grant as part of your financial aid package, you can reach out to your transfer counselor at UMass Amherst to request that the enrollment fee be moved onto your bill. So that can be an option for you as well. We also host admitted students next steps virtual events to help guide you through the process. So you don't have to worry about remembering everything right now. There will be lots of information once you're admitted to kind of tell you what's next and make sure that you're kind of getting all the steps completed. So the enrollment fee deadlines are listed on the screen. So typically for spring enrollment, it's around December 15th that you have to submit that deposit to make your decision of if you're going to enroll. And it's usually June 1st for the fall semester. After you submit the enrollment fee, that's when you'll register for new student orientation. You'll apply for housing if you're thinking about living on campus and those types of things. And then finally, we always just like to remind students that once you have your final grades from your last semester at your community college, you'll want to make sure that you send us your final transcripts that have your final grades and also your the date of completion for your program. So that way we can secure your mass transfer benefits for you. Okay, so number 8 is just a review of the timeline for everything and to kind of give you a general sense of what it all looks like. So the first step, again, is to connect with your transfer counselor. So if you are at GCC, I'm going to be your transfer counselor. So you can certainly reach out to me. I'll provide my my contact information at the end of the presentation. And I'll get to this afterwards too, but we're able to do like one-on-one Zoom appointments, and we can connect on the phone or email, whatever you need to help you through this process. The second part is going to be submitting your application and your supporting materials. And also around this time, we encourage students to submit their FAFSA. The UMass Amherst code is on the screen, but you can also just type in the name of our school to get the code for your FAFSA. From there, you want to track the status of your application on your student status page. Next, you'll receive your decision, so you'll know kind of where you stand there. After you're admitted, you get excited first, and then we'll start to give you some more information about your financial aid and your transfer credits and things like that. The next step is for you to decide if you definitely want to enroll, and you'll accept your offer by paying the enrollment deposit. Orientation and applying for housing and things like that will come after that. And then finally, classes begin. So it's a pretty fast process, but we make sure that you have all the information that you need to make sure that you get everything done as part of it. So number 9, this is one that a lot of students tend to have questions about, is transferring credit and how that works. So basically, the way that we award transfer credit is as long as you have courses that are comparable in content and scope to courses that are offered by UMass Amherst, and you earn a grade of C- or higher in the course will generally be transferable. We don't offer transfer credit for remedial or technical coursework, but we are able to accept credits for AP exams, CLEP exams, things like that. So you can transfer in a maximum of 75 credits. And if you're part of the mass transfer program, you are guaranteed to have at least 60 credits transfer. Once you're admitted, you'll receive a preliminary transfer credit evaluation that's going to tell you basically how many total courses will, or how many total credits will be transferable. And then our registrar's office a couple weeks later will give you an official transfer credit evaluation. Before that though, me as your transfer counselor, I'd be happy to give you an unofficial transfer credit evaluation just to give you a sense of things. And we also have a really great tool that's called the Transfer Navigator on our website, where you can actually input all of the courses that you've taken, and it'll show you exactly how the courses are going to transfer to UMass Amherst before you even fill out the application. So that's a nice way to kind of get the most concrete idea of how your credits are going to transfer. So the General Education Foundation, this is good to know as well. It's going to be built into your associate degree program, so that will transfer over with you as long as you finish the associate degree. And after you transfer to UMass Amherst, the only general education requirements you'll have left to complete are going to be your junior year writing course and the integrative experience course. You just have to take these at UMass Amherst because they're kind of unique to our curriculum, and so they're not able to be transferred in. You do actually have to take them at UMass. And the 10th thing that we want you to know, as I said before, is that we're here to help you. We assume that a lot of people don't transfer schools regularly or haven't transferred before, and so we want to make the process as easy for you as possible. So we work closely with students from the very, very point of them being curious about UMass Amherst all the way through the point of them starting classes. We're happy to advise you on major choices, admissions requirements, transfer credits, all those types of things. And we do have Zoom appointments that are available for one-on-one advising. If you go onto our website, you can sign up for one of those if you're interested. But overall, yeah, we are happy to help you. So don't ever hesitate to reach out if you have questions. And so with that, that kind of concludes the presentation. And